तो आज एक परम पुण्यतिथि इस वर्ष हो रही है। इस्कॉन संस्था के प्रतिष्ठाता श्रील प्रभुपाद के आश्रित नित्य लीला प्रविष्णु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज जी की तिरुभाव तिथि। सब तिरुभाव तिथि आ रही है, सब तिरुभाव तिथि आ रही। आप अभी रहो, कल है। होगा तो किसी जिनकी आज है स्वामी महाराज को कैसे पहचाना जाता है हमने देखा नहीं है। व्यक्ति को देखकर व्यक्ति को नहीं पहचाना जाता, व्यक्ति को देख करके व्यक्ति को नहीं पहचान सकते हैं। उसके द्वारा किए गए कार्य, उसकी कृतियां होती हैं, उसके द्वारा की गई कृतियों के द्वारा व्यक्ति को पहचाना जाता है। व्यक्ति के विचारों से व्यक्ति की असल पहचान होती है। हम किसी साथ में रात दिन रहते हैं, सोते हैं, खाते हैं, पीते हैं, नहीं समझ सकते उसको। उसके विचार क्या है, उसकी भावनाएं क्या हैं, उसकी कृतियां क्या हैं, कृत्य क्या है, कार्य क्या है, यदि हम जान जाते हैं, हमारे सामने ना रहने पर भी उनको हम समझ सकते हैं। वैसे श्री प्रभुपाद जी के प्रत्येक गण ही असामान्य, अलौकिक, कोई सामान्य नहीं है कि प्रत्येक गण का एक विशेष वैशिष्ट रहा है। कल हमारे गुरुदेव को देखा, वो भी प्रभुपाद जी आश्रित ही हैं, वो अलग बात है कि हरिनाम हुआ है। एक बार गुरुदेव को शिष्य ने गुरुजी से कहा, गुरुदेव क्या हम प्रभुपाद जी को परम गुरुदेव बोल सकते हैं? गुरुजी को कहा, गुरु से कहा तो शिष्य ने, क्या हम प्रभुपाद को परम गुरुदेव कह सकते हैं? तो गुरुजी ने कहा, तुम्हारे अंदर प्रतिष्ठा की इच्छा है क्या? तुम्हारे अंदर क्या प्रतिष्ठा की इच्छा है? जानते हो प्रभुपाद जी हमारे परम गुरुदेव हैं, मेरे गुरुदेव प्रभुपाद जी के शिष्य थे, ये तुम्हारे प्रतिष्ठा की इच्छा है। मैंने कभी प्रभुपाद जी गुरु माना ही नहीं है, नाम दिया, मैंने गुरु में स्वीकार किया है मेरे गुरुदेव को, केशव गोस्वामी महाराज जी को, इसलिए नहीं बोल सकते। बाकी तुम्हारी इच्छा, गुरुदेव को बड़ा अच्छा विचार था, बाकी तुम्हारी इच्छा। शासन करते ही नहीं थे। एक करले भालो হয়, এমন করলে ভালো হয়, तो তুমি जो मठे गए सेवा करो भालो होगे, तो तुम उस मठ में जरूरत है, तुम चले जाओगे, सेवा करोगे, अच्छा होता, अच्छा होगा, जाओ नहीं। तो वैसे आज श्री स्वामी महाराज जी का भी जीवन चरित्र अद्भुत, प्रत्यक्ष, ये प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण की आवश्यकता नहीं होती। पूरा संसार, संपूर्ण संसार आज महामंत्र की गूंज से गुंजायमान हो रहा है। पूरा संसार, ऐसा कोई भारत में ऐसा प्रांत नहीं है, छोटे बड़े शहर नहीं जहां पर इस्कॉन संस्था नहीं हो। ये तो भारतवर्ष है। इसके बाहर भी पाश्चात्य देशों में शायद ही कोई देश बचा हो जहां इस्कॉन नहीं हो। अभी ढाका में हुआ था ना इस्कॉन, वहां भी इस्कॉन था ढाका में। अभी वहां जो आग लगा दी थी बेचारों को, पाकिस्तान में। कुछ दिन पहले, 2-3 साल पहले पाकिस्तान से कुछ लोग आए थे, इस्कॉन के लोग। तो हमने पूछा, तो आप इस्कॉन में रहते हैं तो वहां समस्या नहीं होती है? बोलते ये समस्या तो नहीं होती है, थोड़ा हमको छिप के थोड़ा सा करना पड़ता है, ओपनली नहीं कर पाते हैं। कोई ऐसे देश नहीं है, अद्भुत है कि नहीं? मुस्लिम कंट्रीज जहां घोर कट्टर मुस्लिम कट्टर मुस्लिम है, हिंदू विरोधी है, वहां पर इस्कॉन है। तो ये विशेष कार्य है। और ये जो कार्य जो किया स्वामी महाराज जी ने, स्पष्ट हो जाता है अपने प्रयास से संभव नहीं है। अपने प्रयास से ऐसी क्रांति ले आना असंभव, असंभवम अति असंभवम। ये तो स्पष्ट हो जाता है श्रील महाप्रभु ने या श्रील प्रभुपाद ने विशेष कार्य के लिए इनको चुना था। सुनते ना चैतन्य में कहा गया है क्या है, पृथ्वी से आशीष तो नगरादि ग्राम। इस पृथ्वी में जहां इस पृथ्वी में जितने गांव हैं, जितने शहर हैं, जितने नगर हैं, सर्वत्र में नाम का प्रचार हुआ। तो वो यदि सिद्ध हुआ है तो इनके द्वारा ही सिद्ध हुआ है। पहले भी गए थे, शानू गोस्वामी महाराज भी गए थे, भक्ति महाराज भी गए थे, इतना विपुल रूप प्रचार नहीं कर पाए। तो बोलेंगे तो क्या वे लोग क्या नाकाम हो गए थे? नाकाम नहीं थे। जिस कार्य के लिए किसी चुना जाता है वो कार्य उसके द्वारा संपन्न होता है। बंद महाराज का अपना अपना वैशिष्ट है। तो जो इस कार्य के लिए इन्हें चुना गया था है। विदेश गए कोई, बार बार सुनते ही हम लोग, न धन भी नहीं है, पैसा भी नहीं है। एक जल जहाज में, बड़ी मुश्किल से जल जहाज में व्यापार करने जहाज जाता था, उसमें बैठ करके गए। कोई पैसा पास में नहीं, वहां कोई एड्रेस नहीं, कोई अच्छा एड्रेस, अच्छा कोई पता हो, यहाँ रहकर भजन, रहकर प्रचार प्रचार करें। अकेले 70 साल की उम्र में, कितना साहस चाहिए, कितना साहस चाहिए। 70 साल की उम्र में अकेले, कोई आगे ना हो, कोई पीछे, कोई सपोर्ट नहीं है। नई जगह विदेश में, न खाने का ठिकाना, न रहने का ठिकाना। तो वो ऐसे काम के लिए वो क्यों, तो वो ऐसे काम में लग कैसे गए? जिसे कहते हैं रक्षिष्यति विश्वास गोप्यत्वे वर्णम्यता। ये लक्षण है श्रद्धा का, शरणागति का लक्षण है। जब जो शरणागत हो जाता है, तो या विगुप्ता विचरंत निर्भया विनायकानि कम ऊर्ध्वसु प्रभु। ये लक्षण है श्रद्धा, अर्थात क्या? शरणागति का लक्षण है। बिना शरणागति के इस प्रकार से करना संभव नहीं है। अब शरणागति थी कि नहीं, वास्तव में थी कि नहीं, लक्षण ने परिचय थे। अधिकार था कि नहीं, हमें कोई काम सौंप दिया जाता है, प्रश्न उठता भाई क्वालिफिकेशन है कि नहीं, योग्यता है कि नहीं, योग्यता है कि नहीं। अब इसका अनुमान हम कैसे लगाएंगे? वो कार्य, वो जो कार्य में सौंपा गया था भली भांति पूरा हो जाता है तो मान लो योग्यता थी। जिस काम के लिए गए वो कार्य भली भांति नहीं, भली भांति पूरा हुआ। उन विदेशों में जाकर के जहां घोर नास्तिक प्रवृत्ति के लोग, खाओ पियो और मौज करो, शराब, शबाब और कबाब जो 3 में डूबा हुआ था। कबाब मैंने मांस दादी, शराब मैंने मजरा, और शबाब मैंने स्त्री। घोर जो इन तीनों में डूबा, जो विदेश डूबा हुआ था, डूबे हुए थे विदेशी लोग, उनको इस प्रकार से उन्मत्त कर देना, शुद्ध भक्ति में, एकांतिक भक्ति में ले आना, ये सामान्य बात है। हम देख रहे हैं विदेशी लोगों तो एक तो भारतीय तोलो, एक तो विदेशी तोलो, तो पड़ा किसे भारी है? विदेशी। जैसी निष्ठा उनकी है, एकांतिकता उन्हें दिखाई जाती है, अतुलनीय है। अब समस्या हमारे क्या है? बेचारों को संस्कार, कुछ उनके एटिकेट थोड़ा खराब है तो हम उनको घृणा करते हैं। अब कुछ उनके जो सदाचार हैं उनके अंदर नहीं है, कि इसको देख करके हम क्या बोलते हैं, उनको सम्मान करना नहीं चाहते हैं। परंतु मूल चीज क्या उनके अंदर है? सम्यक व्यवस्थित है वो लोग। उनमें कुछ दुराचार तो हो सकता है, कुछ सम्यक व्यवस्थित है। कृष्ण ही भगवान है, ये उनके खून में बैठ चुका है। बाकी सदाचार कुछ नहीं है, झूठे फूटे का विचार नहीं है, इसलिए हम थोड़ा उनसे थोड़ा दूरी बना लेते हैं, कई लोग बना लेते हैं, परंतु ये अद्भुत उनके कार्य है। अभी कृष्णदास जी कुछ बताएंगे, महाराज बाबा आ रहे हैं। कृष्णदास प्रभु आप बताइए, वहीं बैठ, यहाँ बैठो, वहीं बैठो, वहीं बैठो, फिर वो
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वप्रथम मैं अपने गुरुपाद पद्म से लीला प्रभुपाद भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज जी के अनंत कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम करते हुए उनकी अनुभूति की प्रार्थना करता हूँ। नित्य लीला प्रभुपाद अष्टोत्तर भक्ति वेदांत गोस्वामी महाराज जी के अनंत कोटि दंडवत प्रणाम करते हुए उनकी अनुभूति की प्रार्थना करता हूँ। पूज्य बात प्रभु जी के चरणों में दंडवत प्रणाम करते हुए उपस्थित समस्त वैष्णवी को यथायोग प्रणाम। हम लोग कल भी दो महाभागवतों की कथा श्रवण कर रहे थे। आज भी हम लोगों का सौभाग्य है ऐसे ही महाप्रभु के पार्षद, उनका आज केवल भाव दिवस है। श्रील भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी गोस्वामी महाराज जी ने कहा है, जब तुम लोगों जगत के लोगों के लिए अवांछित लगने लगो तो समझ लेना कि भजन का कुछ सुयोग प्राप्त होने वाला। मतलब क्या है, जगत के लोग हमसे प्रीति करते हैं बहुत अधिक, उनकी प्रीति कहती है श्री भक्ति कुमार संत गोस्वामी महाराज जी जो कहा करते थे, जगत के लोगों की प्रीति और विरक्ति दोनों ही स्वार्थ पर है। ये बात हम लोग श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज जी के जीवन चरित्र में भी देख रहे हैं। उन्होंने अपने घर परिवार के लिए बहुत सारा काम किया। 1933 ईस्वी में उनको श्रील प्रभुपाद जी से हरिनाम दीक्षा प्राप्त हुई। श्रील प्रभुपाद जी ने उनको अभय चरण दास नाम प्रदान किया, अभय चरण दास। और उसके पश्चात में उनको कहा, तुम्हारी अंग्रेजी बहुत अच्छी है, तुम विदेश में जाकर के प्रचार करो। तो पारिवारिक कारणों से बिजनेस भी करते थे, अनेक कारणों से वो विदेश में उस समय नहीं जा पाए और बहुत सारे उन्होंने व्यवसाय किए एक के बाद एक, लेकिन वो सब फेल हो गए। इस कारण से उनके घर के लोग उनसे असंतुष्ट रहते। अभी देखो जो श्री रामानंद गोस्वामी महाराज जी ने जो बोला, वो कैसे एकदम पूरा कैसे जब तुम जगत के लोगों के लिए अवांछित लगते हो, मतलब बेकार है, किसी काम के लिए कुछ नहीं करते, पैसा कमाते नहीं, क्योंकि पैसा कमा के जगत के लोगों को देते रहो, वो हमारे पैसे से भोग करते रहे, हम उनके लिए गधे की तरह नौकरी करते रहे, यही वो चाहते हैं। अगर ऐसा करोगे तो उनकी प्रीति के पास से बनो। अगर हम ऐसा करते हैं तो उनकी प्रीति के पास है, तो इस प्रकार से वो अवांछित हो गए जगत के लोगों के लिए और उनके घर परिवार वाले उनसे विरक्त हो गए। मथुरा में आए तो गुरुजी ने उनको देखा, तो गुरुजी ने उनसे बोला कि आप हमारा तो मठ है यहाँ पर, आप वहां पर मठ में क्यों नहीं रहते? और गुरुजी उनको बहुत पहले से जानते थे। जब वेदांत समिति की स्थापना हुई थी 1941 में, उस समय श्री स्वामी महाराज जी भी थे। और जब गुरुजी मठ में आए तो गुरुजी स्वयं बताते हैं कि मैं देखता था हमारे गुरुजी यानी परम गुरुदेव की भक्ति प्रज्ञान केवल गोस्वामी महाराज जी, ये एक गृहस्थ भक्त को अपने साथ में बिठा, परम गुरुदेव का जो आदर्श था, उनका जो एक स्वभाव था बड़ा गंभीर था, और ऐसा एरा गहरा आदमी उनके आसपास भी नहीं बैठ सकता। तो गुरु जी के मन में जिज्ञासा हुई कि आखिर के कौन है वैसे, गृहस्थ होने पर भी परम गुरुदेव का सम्मान कैसे करना, विशेष होंगे। तब गुरु जी ने पूछा तो उन्होंने कहा ये अभय चरण प्रभु जी प्रभुपाद जी के शिष्य हैं, और प्रभुपाद जी के समय में भी वो मैगजीन में पत्रिका में प्रबंध देते। उसके बाद जब परम गुरुदेव ने पत्रिका प्रारंभ की, उसमें भी स्वामी महाराज जी प्रबंध देते। उनका आर्टिकल छपता था हमारी बड़ी पत्रिका में और महाप्रभु की विचार, इसलिए परम गुरुदेव उनको बहुत स्नेह करते थे और अपने साथ में बिठा करके उनका सम्मान किया करते। तो जब गुरु जी को पता चला तो गुरु जी ने फिर उनसे व्यक्तिगत संबंध उनका हुआ और उनसे बहुत सारे सिद्धांत के विषय में गुरु जी प्रश्न किया करते थे, बातचीत की करते। तो गुरु जी के साथ भी बड़ा प्रीतिपूर्ण व्यवहार हो गया उसी समय। फिर जब वो मथुरा में आए, जब गुरु जी के साथ तो पहले से ही अच्छा संबंध था, गुरु जी ने उनको प्रार्थना की कि आप चल करके हमारे मठ में रहिए, तो मठ है। तब वो मठ में आए। फिर गुरु जी उन्होंने सोचा कि ये तो हमसे बहुत सीनियर है, उनको संन्यास के लिए कैसे हो सकते हैं, इसलिए परम गुरुदेव से बोला ये तो सब प्रकार से इतने योग्य हैं, तो ये संन्यास लेकर प्रभुपाद की वाणी का प्रचार क्यों नहीं करते? आप इनको कहेंगे तो जरूर मानेंगे कि परम गुरुदेव का उनके साथ में बड़ा अच्छा संबंध भी था और परम गुरुदेव को श्री स्वामी महाराज जी बड़ा सम्मान था। इसलिए जब परम गुरुदेव ने उनसे बोला कि प्रभुपाद जी ने आपको आदेश भी दिया और पारिवारिक दायित्व भी मुझे नहीं है, तो फिर आप संन्यास लेकर के प्रभुपाद जी की वाणी का प्रचार क्यों नहीं करते? तब अनेक बार ऐसे आग्रह करने के पश्चात में श्री स्वामी महाराज जी ने संन्यास ग्रहण किया। 3 लोगों का एक साथ में संन्यास हुआ। सनातन प्रभु थे जो जिनके विषय में हम लोग सुनते रहे, जो उनकी बेटी की शादी नहीं हुई क्योंकि वो वैष्णव धर्म का पालन करते थे, तो पूरा अपना बेटी की शादी के लिए जितना सारा सामान था लेकर जाकर के मठ में गया। परम गुरुदेव ने ये मठ बनाया, ये हमारा जो मथुरा का मठ है, इसके लिए सबसे पहले 5000 रुपया सनातन प्रभु ने दिया। बहुत वो ग्रस्त होकर भी संन्यास में बिल्कुल ऐसा उनका उनके साथ में श्री स्वामी महाराज जी का संन्यास हुआ। संन्यास के पश्चात में झांसी, ग्वालियर, आगरा, इन सब स्थानों पर प्रचार करने के लिए जाते थे। फिर किसी कारण से वहां से छोड़कर के वृंदावन में आके तब दामोदर मिशन में रहते। यहाँ पर उन्होंने भागवत को ट्रांसलेशन करना शुरू किया। दिल्ली गए थे प्रचार के लिए, वहां भी बड़ी बड़ी उसकी अद्भुत अद्भुत चीजें हैं जो हम लोगों ने सेवा कल भी सुना था। इस बात को कि जब तक सेवा ही हमारा प्राण नहीं होगा तब तक मंत्र में शक्ति नहीं है। तो इतनी वृद्धावस्था में भी एक समय दिल्ली में प्रचार करने के लिए गए और छोटी छोटी पुस्तकें उन्होंने प्रिंट करना शुरू किया। वो पुस्तक बांट रहे थे। सारे दिन पुस्तक बांटने के बाद भी 2, 4, 5 रुपए इकट्ठे होते थे। तो एक समय बहुत गर्मी थी और फिर भक्ति कारण स्वामी महाराज जी का मठ दिल्ली में, वहां पर वो रुके हुए थे। तो प्रचार के लिए वही पुस्तक वितरण करने के लिए जाने लगे। तो देखो जो आचरण करते हैं वैष्णव, वो जब बोलते हैं तो उसका प्रभाव भी पड़ता है। उन्होंने खुद किया, इतनी वृद्धावस्था में भी, गर्मी में, सर्दी में, सब जगह बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन किया। देखो आज उनका बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सारे विषय में। तो एक वैष्णव थे वहां पर, उन्होंने कहा महाराज जी आप इतनी गर्मी में, आपकी वृद्धावस्था है, वहां पर जाएंगे लू लग जाएगी आपको। गर्मी कितनी पड़ती है, लू चलती है, अगर लू लगी तो आप सारे दिन में कितना कलेक्शन कर लेते हैं, बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करते, कैसे 5 रुपये, कहते मैं आपको 10 रुपया दे, तो वह कहते हम 5 रुपये और 10 रुपये के लिए नहीं जाते, हम प्रभुपाद जी की वाणी को प्रचार करने के लिए जाते हैं। ये वो की बात है। फिर भी तुम वैष्णव हो, तुम्हारा आग्रह है तो मैं रुक जाता हूँ, लेकिन फिर भी मेरा उद्देश्य धन इकट्ठा करना नहीं। जब एक समय वो था जब वो 1-2 रुपया 5 रुपया ऐसे इकट्ठा करते थे, और जब फिर उनके पास में कितने मतलब अरबों खरबों रुपए की संपत्ति होती है, जो उन्होंने 108 स्थापित कर गए, उनकी संपत्ति कितनी है, लेकिन फिर भी वैष्णव लोगों को कोई भी उससे विकार नहीं होता कि अहंकार हो जाए या कुछ भी हो, क्योंकि वो इस जगत में केवल महाप्रभु की वाणी का प्रचार करने के लिए आए। कैसे उनकी जीवों के प्रति दया थी, उस प्रकार की भावना भी हमारे लिए अकल्पनीय। एक समय उनके शिष्य जब बन गए, इंडिया में लेकर गए, और उस समय एक शिष्य उनका दूध से तिलक करता, कोई ब्रह्मचारी ने आकर के बड़ी डांट बताने, पागल कैसा आदमी दूध से तिलक करता। ऐसी उनकी जीवों के प्रति दया देखो। तो स्वामी महाराज जी वहां पर आ गए और उन्होंने कहा कि देखिए महाराज जी क्या करना है, पागल नहीं करते, दूध से तिलक करते। तो वो हंसने लगे, कहते हैं तुमको पता है ये लोग कहते थे ये दाई का मन अवैध स्त्री सब समय शराब इत्यादि पीने वाले, ये लोग हरि नाम करने में ये देखता हूँ। तो एक महापुरुष के जो दृष्टिकोण है और एक बद्ध जीव का दृष्टिकोण, उसमें कितना भारी अंतर। हम लोग परस्पर आपस में प्रीति नहीं कर पाते, लेकिन गुरु जी हमसे इतना प्रीति क्यों करते? क्योंकि उनका दृष्टिकोण ऐसा है कि वो देख रहे हैं कि मायाबद्ध जीव अनंत काल से भटकते हुए हरिनाम करने लगा, इसलिए उनके हृदय उससे गदगद हो जाते। और हम लोग क्या देखते हैं, हमारी जड़ दृष्टि है, उसने ऐसा करके, उसने ऐसा करके, ऐसा करना है, हम देख करते हैं ये सब हरिनाम करते हैं, घर छोड़कर के मठ में रह रहे हैं, हमारी दृष्टि। इसलिए जीवों के प्रति कैसे उनकी दया की भावना थी। उन्होंने उनके दोष तो देखे, अगर वो दोष देखते तो क्या होगा। आज इस जगत में महाप्रभु की वाणी का ऐसा प्रचार नहीं। उन्होंने क्या देखा, केवल गुण देखा। क्या तुम हरिनाम तो कर रहे हैं, शास्त्र में सब जगह बताया हरे नाम हरे नाम हरे नाम है। कलियुग में केवल हरिनाम ही तो सार है, इसलिए वो वही कर रहे हैं। तो इससे बढ़कर के सौभाग्य क्या हो सकता है। बाकी धीरे धीरे शिष्टाचार भी सीख जाएंगे और वही कभी सीखेगा शिष्टाचार। एक समय पुरी में गए थे तो वहां पर वही बताया, विदेशी लोग उनको तो कुछ संस्कार ही नहीं है। उन्होंने तो ये भी नहीं सुना कि जो भागवत है वो भगवान से अभिन्न है, भगवान और भागवत में कोई अंतर नहीं है। तो भागवत की पेटी के ऊपर में चढ़ करके तो पेटी के ऊपर रख करके पंखा ठीक कर रहा था विदेशी बच्चों। तो पंडित ने देख करके उसको बहुत बुरा भला कहा और फिर इसलिए साईं महाराज जी की महिमा और कीर्तन की कि तुम्हारे गुरु धन्य है जो तुम्हारे जैसे लोगों को भी इतना साथ में लेकर के और तुम लोगों को इतना भक्ति में लगा रहे। और देखा जाए तो वास्तव में जो हमारा भारतीय संस्कृति है आज क्या हो जाए, विदेशी संस्कृति का विचार भारत में, और जो भारतीय संस्कृति है गौ पूजा, जो हमारा कल्चर है, तिलक धारण करना, घंटी धारण करना, सारे विश्व के लोग धारण करके इस जगत के और भारत में आते हैं। ये सब चीजें साईं महाराज जी की तो कृपा है। उन्होंने भारतीय संस्कृति का वास्तविक रूप से बिल्कुल प्रचार किया, इसलिए वो महाप्रभु की वाणी की वास्तविक संदेश हुआ। और एक समय क्या हुआ, विदेश में थे तो जैसे हम लोग देखते हैं ना, साधु लोग प्रचार करते हैं किसी के घर से कोई अमीर धनी व्यक्ति है, उसके एक ही बेटा है, उसको लेकर के आए तो घर वाले कितना विरोध करते, लड़ाई झगड़ा भी करते साधु। ऐसे एक समय कोई व्यक्ति था, उसके बेटे को ऐसे साईं महाराज जी की कृपा से भक्ति में आ गया, मठ में रहने लगा कौन। तो उसके घर वालों ने उनके ऊपर केस कर दिया कोर्ट में कि इसने हमारे बच्चे की बुद्धि को बिगाड़ करके और इसको इसमें लगा दिया। तो वहां का जो कोर्ट का जो जज था उसने उसका जो केस था उसको कैंसिल कर दिया। कहते अरे आप लोगों को ये बात बोलने में भी शर्म आनी चाहिए। आपकी सरकार ने, मतलब अमेरिका की सरकार ने करोड़ों डॉलर खर्च करके ये जो वैश्यावृत्ति है, ये जो शराब है और जो कोकीन ड्रग्स वगैरह जो लेते हैं वो सब है, उसको रोकने के लिए करोड़ों डॉलर खर्च कर दिए, तो भी रोक नहीं पाए। और एक जो व्यक्ति वो हमको फ्री में ये सब करके दे रहा है, उसके लिए आप लोग देख सकते हैं, शर्म नहीं आती, तो कैसे करते? तो इस प्रकार से हम लोग ही नहीं, ये वो हमारे महापुरुष के जो परिकर है, इसलिए हम लोग उनका सम्मान करते हैं। ऐसा नहीं, सारे विष्णु ने उनका सम्मान। इस प्रकार से उनकी जीवों के प्रति दया थी। इसी के साथ वाणी को विराम देता हूँ। महाराज जी में, प्रभु जी में,
गुरवे नमः। वंशा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महाभजन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरचिषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवचाय नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtatarashata Shri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtotarasata Shri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj and Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtotarasata Shri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I offer my unlimited Dandavat Pranams to all of my Shri Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga and my Dandavat Pranams to all of the Vaishnavas and to all of the Vaishnavis. On this most auspicious occasion of the Tirobhav Titi of my beloved Gurudev, I will attempt in a very concise way to remember His divine glories, His qualities, His pastimes, His teachings, His instructions. So first of all, there's a big long history. Because this didn't come out of nowhere. That this divine personality suddenly did what no other Vaishnava was able to do, even though they tried. But this was divinely predicted by Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He predicted this in which year? 1896. This was the year of the appearance of my Guru Maharaj. He also wrote the first book in English language about the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhaktivinoda Thakur did. In 1896, the same year that my Guru Maharaj appeared. And he titled his book, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, His Life and His Precepts. It was a small book, not a big book. It was divided into two parts. First of all, the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained in such an amazing way to a Western audience for the first time in the English language, who is this person? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in that little section, he compared Mahaprabhu to what he called the Western Savior, Jesus Christ. And he called him, Mahaprabhu, the Eastern Savior. So he set the tone for explaining to a Western audience what is the significance of this personality, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that book, the second part, contained the precepts, the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I didn't realize this when I first read that book 50 years ago. Little small book. I first read it about 50 years ago. But I didn't realize what is the Dasmul Tattva at that time. I didn't know. What are the 10 essential teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? But Bhaktivinoda Thakur decided that he was going to give the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through explaining the 10 essential Dasmul Tattva. And that was very interesting how he did it. It's such an amazing, if you know English, you will be very happy to read that book. And just to envision how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was already starting the process, that these teachings would go across the oceans. They would touch every part of the world. Before that, they're only in India, nowhere else. Nowhere else on the whole planet, only India. So, in that same year, the person who would actually take these teachings to the Western world was born also. So in that year, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he sent through the post this little book to 2 or 3 different university libraries. One in London, one in Toronto, Canada, like this. Years later, the Western devotees went to search out those very books that were sent to those universities, and guess what? They found them. The actual book. So the historical relevance of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj coming into this picture in exactly the same year that Bhaktivinoda Thakur began to send. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also predicted in that book, in that small book, he made a prediction that in the future, a very empowered personality would appear in this world. And he would take those teachings across the oceans and to the entire world. And years later, when my Guru Maharaj had completed this task, we're talking about, he first went to America in 1965, and then he departed here in Vrindavan on this day. This is his disappearance day. In 1977. So for 12 years, he traveled the entire length and breadth of the world. 12 times, at least, minimum. 12 times. In old age. When he departed, he was approximately 82 years of age. So when he started his mission, he was about 70 years old. But he didn't just start his mission at that time. He spent his life in preparation. And what was that? Well, you know that he's born in a very exalted Vaishnava family in Calcutta. And he was born on the day following Janmashtami. which is called Nanda Utsav Day. On that day he appeared in this world. Very joyful, happy day. Nanda Maharaj is giving tons and tons and tons of charity, and all the Brijvasis are extremely joyful. That's the day that he appeared in this world. So he grew up in this Vaishnava family, and his father, Gaur Mohan De, was a very exalted pure devotee. He wrote that. Yes. He was a pure devotee of Krishna. And he wanted that his son would grow up to be a pure devotee of Krishna. So what did he do? He arranged for him to get lessons in playing mridanga. Yes. When my Guru Maharaj was a small boy and he was growing up there in Calcutta, they were connected with what is the name of the family? I'm forgetting now. But it was an exalted family of Vaishnavas, a whole dynasty of Vaishnavas. And there was a temple nearby. Their temple was just near to where the family house was. And as a young boy, he would go there to that temple. And they had small deities of Radha Govinda temple. And he used to look at the deities as a little boy and just become entranced by them. As he grew up, he heard about the big festival that takes place every year in Jagannath Puri, which is called Jagannath Rath Yatra. So he very much wanted to also celebrate that festival, even though the adults were not planning to have a celebration for that. But he wanted to celebrate the Jagannath Rath Yatra festival. So his father arranged, and the local people arranged, to build a small Jagannath cart for children's size. And in his early childhood, he and his friends did kirtan, singing and pulling the Jagannath cart through the neighborhood. So what did he later do? He spread Jagannath Rath Yatra to the entire world, east and west. He spread it. Even to this day, in Calcutta, there is a Jagannath Rath Yatra festival which is hosted by ISKCON. But that kind of a festival didn't happen before that. Only in Jagannath Puri it was taking place. So, and there are further events in his childhood that showed that he was very, very inclined towards worshipping Krishna. Now, he grew up, as I said, in this Vaishnava family. And as he was growing up, his father, Gaur Mohan De, almost every day, his father would, as the Vedic custom is there for Grihastha ashram, he would go out into the street and call out to anyone passing by, "We are now going to take our meal. If you are hungry and you have not had, please come." And every day, whatever you want to call by the word sadhu, all the varieties of sadhus. We see them here on the sides of the road in Vrindavan. Some of them were not really sadhus, but they were wearing the dress of sadhus and so forth. But Gaur Mohan De didn't discriminate. And every day, there were so many guests like this. So as my Guru Maharaj was growing up, he saw so many sadhus. So now as he grew into his later years and he was enrolled in the university, he was educated in the British schools and universities of that time. And he was enrolled in the university, and he had a couple of university friends who were also worshippers of Krishna. But one of them came to know that there is one very great Vaishnava personality who is lecturing in Calcutta in a particular location. His name is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So he encouraged that his name was Abhay Charan when he was born, Abhay Charan De. So he encouraged his schoolmate, this very great Vaishnava personality is going to be lecturing. So we should go. He had another friend, and so Abhay Charan at that time, he was not so interested to go. He says, I have seen so many so-called sadhus and Vaishnavas throughout my childhood, so I'm not so interested. Then his friend told him, no, this one is different. You must come. And he pulled him there. When Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada was lecturing in the room, there was not a huge crowd of people, but there was an audience there in the room. And when Abhay Charan entered the room with his two friends, they showed the proper etiquette and they bowed down. At that time they were dressed in khadi. Why? You all know. Because that was the symbol of the movement to drive the British out of India. And the Mahatma Gandhi's movement of the khadi, the spun cloth, right? He established all throughout all the villages of India. So all the youth of that time who were educated in the universities, they were wearing khadi, rough cloth. That was their symbol. So they came and they very reverentially bowed down before him, and then they took their seat there on the floor. As soon as they raised their heads, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur addressed them. He said, you are all educated young men. You should preach this message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the English-speaking world. And they were taken back. My Guru Maharaj was surprised that upon first meeting, he's telling them, you should do this. So when he heard that, in his previous understanding, at that time they were thinking, our India, the country of India, the culture of India is looked upon by the rest of the world as being weak, as being insubstantial, like this. Because the British have come and they have conquered over for a couple of 100 years, okay? So when he heard Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati suggest that they should preach this message, then he gave his first response to him. He said, you're telling us that we should preach this message to the English-speaking world, but we are a dependent nation. We are dependent. We are not an independent ruling nation. So, in the eyes of the world, who will listen to us? What kind of credibility do we have? We are not an independent nation. So what happened then? Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada began to enlighten him and his friends. And what did he tell them? He said, this preaching mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not dependent whatsoever on any material circumstances, whether it be political, social, economic, or anything. This movement is the movement of the Supreme Absolute Truth, Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and no one can stop this movement from being preached. And the way that he told it, the way that he expressed it, I wish we had a recording of that, the exact words. But after that, Abhay Charan Day, later he was telling all of his disciples, like, what did he feel at that time? He said, he completely defeated me, and I loved being defeated by him. Now I began realizing I have met such a saintly personality. Now the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the right hands, and it will be preached everywhere throughout the whole world. That was his thinking. And he said after that, he said at that moment, actually he said, in my heart, I fully accepted him. I fully surrendered and accepted him in my heart. He says, actually I was initiated by him then and there on the spot. But the actual formal initiation didn't take place till 11 years later. So now at that time, he was in his householder years. He had young children. He was a businessman. So now, gradually, bit by bit, he began to associate with Gaudiya Math. And over a period of years, he became acquainted with great, exalted personality, disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Like who? Like Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, and many others. So, now in his household years, he told a very interesting story about how his life progressed forward from that point. He said, when I was a young man and I was engaged with Dr. Bose, a chemical laboratory in Calcutta, I became the head manager, everything like this. And his life was flourishing financially. He was making very good salary and so forth. But then he said, when I was young, I was reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I came upon the verse where Lord Krishna himself is telling, Yasyaham anugrinami harishe tadhanam shanai. When I read that verse, I became frightened, he said. Because Krishna is saying there, to someone who I want to give, Yasyaham anugrinami, to that person who I want to give my full mercy, not partial, not just a little trickle of mercy. When I want to give him my full mercy, what do? Harishye tadhanam shanai. I take away all his dhanam, all of his wealth. So at that time, Abhay Charan, who later became Abhay Charanaravinda when he took initiation from Prabhupada, then he admitted, he said, I was very frightened because I was thinking in my astrology chart when I was born, his astrological chart, it showed there that he would in the future become one of the wealthiest men in India. So he liked that idea because he thought, well then, I can serve Krishna with great wealth. Build temples, do whatever. Right? But Krishna had a different plan. So, what happened? Actually, our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, told us that when Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, just before he took sannyas, when he left his family life in the 1955, 56, something like that, he left his family life and came to Mathura. And he rented a small room near to the Yamuna by Bengali Ghats, yes. And it so happened that one of the brahmacharis noticed, this personality, and he found out that he's a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So he came back to the temple, and Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj was there, and he was told by this disciple, I met a disciple of Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He's rented a room right near to the Yamuna. And maybe he knew he met him and learned his name, but he mentioned that to Srila Narayan Maharaj. What did Srila Narayan Maharaj do? Immediately he went there with two brahmacharis. And when he came to the door, then Abhay Charanaravinda Prabhu was there. And he said, Prabhu, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Why are you not with us in our temple? Keshavji Gaudiya Mat. No, you cannot stay here. You are like our father. You must come and live with us. And at that time, he was, in a mild way, he was saying, no, I will stay here. Sometimes I will come. No, you have to come immediately. Srila Narayan Maharaj told the brahmacharis, take his luggage and bring. So by force, he took him to Keshavji Gaudiya Mat. And so many times Gurudev told us the story of how they lived there in such simple circumstances. Only a couple rooms at that time, not the whole building. And they were living in such a wonderful, happy way together. He gave him one room. And they became such intimate, heart-loving friends. And Srila Gurudev told that one day, he told me his story of how he came to this point in his life, and he quoted that verse, and he described that I was afraid that Krishna would take everything away, but then the first time it happened. I lost everything from that first job, and somebody else took my position. So then after that, then I went to Allahabad, Varanasi, right? Allahabad or Prayag? Oh yeah, Prayag. So, and I started a pharmaceutical company and shop there. And it became very, very successful. Even the president of India, Dr. Radhakrishnan, he used to come there and purchase medicines and things from this person, Abhay Charan Dey. So that became very successful. And that was also where our Param Gurudev, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, when they were threatened with court cases, he and many godbrothers came there to Prayag. And they lived there for some time in hiding. And then at that time, they became very close with Abhay Charanaravinda Prabhu. So then more years took place, and then that also failed after some time. Krishna took that away. Finally, he came to Calcutta. In Calcutta, he was able to purchase 2 houses, side by side. They each had first and second floors. The one house was for his family members, and the second house was his shop on the ground level. And then on the second level, he kept that as a place of hosting Vaishnavas who were visiting. One of those Vaishnavas who came and went over a period of 10 years was Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. And they became very intimate over that period of 10 years. And I also remember our Gurudev told that just after he first came to the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj as a new person joining the Mat, that was in end of 1946, beginning of 47. There was some big program, like a pandal, that was going on. And his Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav, was sitting on the stage, and other sannyasis, and he was sitting below and looking up at his Gurudev, and he noticed his Gurudev was motioning to somebody in the rear part of the whole assembly to come, like this. So he turned around, and he saw one householder Vaishnava who was gradually coming up to the stage. And then when he turned back to his Guru Maharaj, he asked him, Guru Maharaj, who's that person? And then he says, my Guru Maharaj told me that is a very intimate disciple of our Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. You should very carefully observe him. You should try to hear from him, and you should serve him. Those 3 things. He gave that instruction to him. After the assembly was completed, then he met directly with him for the first time. And he said he was so affectionate to me, asked me where I'm from. I'm from Bihar, like this. That was the beginning of his relationship with me. So, back to the story, when he was speaking with Srila Narayana there in the mat, telling him the story of how he read that sloka when he was young, and he was afraid that it would happen to him. And then he described once, twice, 3 times. When he finally, his pharmaceutical shop was also failing, so then finally he understood. And even because of the second part of the verse, I forget the Sanskrit, but it tells that when he loses everything, Krishna says, when I take away all his wealth, then he will be looked upon by his family members as being useless, and they will reject him. And then when they reject him, he will take full shelter on the lotus of my lotus feet. So that's exactly what happened. And he left everything, came there to Mathura. When he was there in Mathura for a number of months, and Srila Narayana was always associating with him, and sometimes he would come into their kirtan, and he would sit there and play harmonium and sing and weep and weep. And he would also lecture to the people in English language. He would lecture. So, prior to his leaving home, in the 1940s, he wanted to prepare himself for this mission because he took it very seriously. What order had been given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati that he should preach this mission? He repeated that order again a second time only 2 weeks before he left the planet. Before Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta left the planet in the end of 36. Yes, end 1936. Before he left, my Guru Maharaj wrote a letter to him. And he said in the letter, my dear Guru Maharaj, you have many, many disciples. Some of them are brahmacharis, some of them are grihastas and sannyasis. But I am simply a grihasta. So I want to know directly from you, what service can I do for you? And when he told him that in the letter, then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati responded by letter to him 2 weeks before he left the planet. And he told him, I want that you will preach this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the English language. And if you ever are able to get money, you should print books. You should print books. That became the life mission of Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. And he prepared himself by writing articles in English language. He started a small little magazine, did everything to publish the magazine, printing and everything, and going out personally and distributing it at tea shops to, gentlemen, selling his magazine. What was that magazine? It's called Back to Godhead. Back to Godhead. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say this term, back to home, back to God. So that became the theme of his preaching mission. And these writing of the articles and publishing them went on up until the point where he left his home in the mid-40s. And anyway, there's so many histories that are all coming to me now in not an organized fashion, but I just want to jump to the point where, while he was living there in Mathura, Srila Narayana Maharaj, in a very friendly and affectionate way, he reached to press him. Oh Prabhu, you are so qualified. Your Gurudev has given you this mission to preach the message of Mahaprabhu in the English language throughout the whole world. How will you do this? Unless you take sannyas. You must take sannyas. Now your family life, everything finished. You must take sannyas. And again, he was young. Then one day, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, he came there to visit from some other location. And when he came there, then he was very happy to see his godbrother, Abhayacharya. You know, at that point, he had been even awarded a title by the Vaishnavas of the Gaudiya class before he took sannyas. What was that title? Bhaktivedanta. His name then became Abhayacharya Bhaktivedanta. That title was especially recommended by Srila Bhakti Maharaj because he was so learned. And then what actually took place is that Srila Bhaktivedanta, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, who had started the movement, Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti, the institution, and who was the co-founder of that institution, Abhayacharya. He was the co-founder of Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti. Yes. So when Paramahansa came there, then he came into the movement with his dear godbrother. And another godbrother. This other godbrother was also a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. His name was Sanatana Prabhu. He was 92 years old at the time. And he had been a businessman throughout his life, but now he had given up his family life and he's living in the mountains. So the three of them are sitting in the room, and Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj is also putting pressure and telling to him in a very deep and philosophical way that you have been given by your Guru Maharaj this order. This is his order to you. You must carry out his order of preaching this message to the whole Western world. You must do that. But you will not be able to do it unless you take sannyas. Now, what preceded that conversation? Backtracking a little bit, when Srila Bhakti Maharaj was visiting the home of Abhayacharya, he was visiting his house as he was doing on a regular basis. And this is just near the end, before he left his home. One night, he woke up in the middle of the night, and he went across to the other house, came up the stairs, and knocked on the door. In the middle of the night. And came in, Srila Sridhar Maharaj was there. He woke him, and he said, Maharaj, Prabhupada came to me just now in a dream. And he was extending the sannyas triganda to me. And he was calling me, you must take sannyas. You must take sannyas. What should I do? They talk together. And you know, Bhakti Sridhar Maharaj is the sannyas guru of Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. So, at that time, he was thinking, well, I should take sannyas from Bhakti Sridhar. But they talked, and Sridhar Maharaj, he suggested that better not to do anything too quickly. Give it a little bit of time. So then, what happened? A few days later, again, in the middle of the night, Abhayacharya Prabhu came across and again woke up Srila Sridhar Maharaj and he said, Prabhupada again came to me in a dream and he had the Tridandi and he said, you must come and take sannyas now. So they spoke together to some extent, whatever it was that they discussed. And the next morning, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, he was gone. He left the house. With taking nothing with him, he left us. But so now, you know, some few months later, now he's in the room with his godbrother who took sannyas from Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, and whom he had a very, very deep, intimate relationship with. Now I'm going to tell you a little story in regards to this. right here, in the temple room, here, Rupanata. Our Gurudev, on the appearance day of Srila Sridhar Maharaj during Kartik. We had a small assembly here, and there were many foreign devotees, English-speaking foreign devotees who had come there. So, this is probably in like 97, 98, 99, one of those years after Gurudev Goswami to the West. And now we're celebrating Srila Sridhar Maharaj's disappearance day, or appearance day. And Gurudev posed a question, especially to me, because he wanted me to be the MC, the master of ceremony, calling on the different speakers. But he posed a question to me and to my other godbrothers. The question was, he said, do you know why your Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, your Guru Maharaj, do you know why he took sannyas from my Gurudev, Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, and not from Bhaktivedanta Sridhar Maharaj? He asked us this question. Do you know why he took from him and not from him? So I tried to give an answer, something like, actually I don't even remember what I tried to answer to Gurudev. But anyway, Gurudev said, no, that is not the reason. Then he told us the reason why Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj took sannyas from Bhakti. And he said, because their relationship was intimate bosom friends. And when he told that, we thought to ourselves, because we were also Siksha disciples of Srila Bhaktivedanta Sridhar Maharaj for many years. But we thought to ourselves, well, Srila Sridhar Maharaj was also an intimate bosom friend of our Guru Maharaj. So why is Gurudev saying this? But then Gurudev began to explain. He says, I have observed over many years the relationship between my Guru Maharaj and Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Even when they were householders, their nature was so similar. Like Srila Sridhar Maharaj's nature was, he himself would call himself a backward-pushing man. He didn't like to be in the foreground. He had a different nature. Naturally, he had a deep, intimate relationship with our Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, but he was a different type. Whereas when Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj would come together with my Guru Maharaj, they would discuss how they would write articles, how they would needle the side of some of their godbrothers in these articles with Patrika, They would discuss like this. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj was lion fool. And my Guru Maharaj was like that. Lion! His roar was heard all over the world. So naturally, he took sannyas from Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj and was empowered by him. But then Gurudev also said to us, he said, he had to take from my Guru Maharaj. He said this in a very cryptic way, not like directly, but kind of in a concealed way. He said, he had to take from my Guru Maharaj. He had to take sannyas from him because the Anugatya is coming from there. That's all he said. The Anugatya is coming from there. Where? The transcendental, eternal power. In other words, there is also an Anugatya amongst the gopis who are there. And they have both descended to this world. Gurudev. So, still he was a little reluctant 92 years old. If our Elijah if he will take sannyas, then I will also take sannyas. So now, sealed. And then on that day, Vishnu Mahotsav day, he received the sannyas ashram. Srila Narayan Maharaj was the priest. He's the person performing the Srila Narayan Maharaj is the person who made the danda. Srila Narayan Maharaj is the person who arranged the sannyas stage and taught him how to wear it. In that ceremony, another godbrother, very exalted personality, Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj was performing kirtan in that ceremony. And that took place there. Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj, you see the photo there. They used to be there in the case of Yogi Maharaj. The photo of Bhakti Pragyan Keshav was sitting on a chair after giving them sannyas on that day. And Bhaktivinoda Swami was standing with his ganga and became Bhaktivinoda Muni Maharaj. And you see his eyes in that photo, and his eyes are burning with determination. He is now ready, fully ready. But what did he do? He went to Vrindavan after some time. He tried the Jansi, didn't work out, but then he went to Vrindavan, and gradually he came to the Radha temple. He rented the 2 rooms there, and now his life work began of translating Srimad Bhagavatam into the English language movement words. He did that there, in that little tiny room at Radha Damodar. And with great difficulty. He had no money, he had no resources, he was selling his Back to Godhead magazine, making a little bit here and there, and there was one printing shop in Delhi that he would regularly go back and forth. He stayed at one month there in Delhi. Chittiwar. Okay. So he stayed at that month when he would come and go. And one day, it was in the summertime, and he was going to go out, to travel, walking in the hot sun of the summer, to go to the press, to be there for some time, where the books were being printed. I forget who, I think it was Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. His disciple of Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. Remember his name? Bhagavad Maharaj. So he told him, he said, Maharaj, please don't go. This is dangerous to go out in this sun. You are old and you can die. He said, no, but I must go there because the person is going to give me a donation. And he said, I will give you a donation. How much he was going to give you? And then he gave him like 10 times that amount. Don't go. So the difficulties that he underwent in that, there's about a 3-year period, from 1962 to 1965. And then finally he was able to complete those 3 volumes of the first canto. Masterpiece. I'm telling you. I've been a devotee for 54 years. I've read that many times. When I read that now, at this point in my life, I appreciate it more than I ever did. Because the genius, the incredible ability that he had to explain this philosophy, to write the purports of the Srimad Bhagavatam so a Western mentality person can gradually understand. And that's exactly what happened. Finally, he was able to get passage on a steamship called Indian Navigation Steamship Company. And the lady was named Sumati Murarji, who owned the company. She really appreciated Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. She had such reverence for him. And then she would, from time to time, give some donations in Bombay. He was in Bombay at the time. And then Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj requested from her that you should give me passage to America on one of your ships. And Sumati Maharaj said, what are you saying? You are an old man. You could very easily die going across the ocean. What will you accomplish like this? But Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj insisted, no, my Guru Maharaj has ordered me, I must go. So she ran. And that ship, guess what the name of the ship was? Jaladuta. Do you know what that means? Of course you do. The messenger on the water. The messenger, the Duta on the Jal, on the water. And how appropriate this was, because he was the greatest messenger to ever cross the oceans in this Kali Yuga. The greatest messenger to cross the oceans with the greatest message that would ever be heard in this world or the whole universe. So, when he finally got to America, it's a long story. There are so many histories of how he began his preaching there with no money, only a few truckloads of his books that came on the ship. And he had 3 weeks of one family in Butler, Pennsylvania, which has become world famous right now. You know that? Because that little town in Pennsylvania is where somebody tried to assassinate Trump just recently, and they shot him in the ear. So now that city, that little town, Butler, Pennsylvania, has become world famous. And that's where Srila Prabhupada came, my Prabhupada. And he stayed with the family, who was the son, Agarwal family from Mathura. And there was one elderly man who Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj knew very well. And so he had told him one time that, yes, I would like to go to America, but I need someone to sponsor me. So he said, okay, I will arrange for my son to sponsor you. So in this way, everything fell together. But that journey across the ocean, I want you to know, there is a document, 2 documents. Actually 3. Okay. I will finish just in a couple of minutes. Okay. So, on that ship, he wrote a poem, a song. Krishna Tava Punya Habe Bhai. Radharani Kushi Habe. That poem, he described how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is the Mahant Guru, and by his desire, this mission will spread to every town and village of the whole world. In brief, he told that. He also kept a diary on the ship, and he had a heart attack twice within 6 days, almost died. Finally, they crossed the ocean, and the captain and the captain's wife told him, he said, we've never seen in our life an Atlantic Ocean so calm. But then, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj said, no, but if it would have shown its real face, like huge waves, everything, certainly I would have died. But Krishna kept the entire journey nice and calm. And they said, oh, Swamiji, you should come with us every time we go back and forth, because the ocean will become calm. So anyway, he arrived there. He stayed for 3 weeks in that Butler, Pennsylvania, small little town with that family. And there was the wife of the son of the Agarwal. She was American, blonde-haired American lady, but she appreciated this visit from this Swamiji. She appreciated it so much. And he would come every day from a couple of blocks away. They rented a room for him. And he would cook every day. And they would eat what he cooked. prashadam. So then, after 3 weeks, he wanted to go to New York, because what's he going to accomplish? He only had a visa for 2 months. Later he again extended the visa, another 2 months, another 2 months, like this. But he struggled for a whole year before anything substantial came. In the winter, in the snow, in the ice, barely having a place to stay. And then, at the end of that winter, in the spring and early summer, a group of people that he had been preaching to, young people, they arranged for him to move from one place into a storefront. And that storefront was a place which was previously a gift shop. And what did it say on the window? It said, matchless gifts. And what could be more matchless gift than the gift that he had come to give? And that became the first place. And to that place, Srimad Radharani was sending Mridangos, kartals, deities, Mathura Para, and so forth. And in that way, Srila Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj began his incredible Western preaching mission, and in 12 years, he completely covered the entire world. Everywhere, people knew Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So I want to say so much more. Time has run out, and I want to give Om Prakash Prabhu an opportunity. He wanted to speak a couple of minutes. Yes?
I was present at the time of the sannyas. You know?
You were there?
Yes.
At this sannyas?
Yes.
Oh my God. I never knew that.
And 2 persons took sannyas. Sanatan Prabhu. बोल दीजिए आप। द्वारा उसमें सारे गुण उनका लिखे हुए थे, जो हमने उनको उनमें बाद में देखा था। इसके बाद उन्होंने शिक्षा प्राप्त करके और उन्होंने प्रभुपाद जी का संग प्राप्त करके, प्रभुपाद जी से दीक्षा लेकर के, और इसके अतिरिक्त उनको मेरे गुरु महाराज जी ने मथुरा में, इन्होंने रसायन विज्ञान से परीक्षा पास की थी, रासायनिक विज्ञान, तो रासायनिक सब्जेक्ट में दवाइयाँ बनाई, दवाइयाँ बना करके उन्होंने झांसी में एक दुकान थी, वहाँ पर शिवरी बाजार में, वहाँ पर खोली थी वो दुकान। इसके बाद में मेरे गुरुजी ने उनको बहुत कहा, बारंबार कहा, तुम योग्य व्यक्ति हो, संन्यास लेकर के और तुम प्रचार करो। तो उन्होंने वहाँ पर प्रचार यह बात को अनुसरण कर दिया। फिर मेरे गुरुजी बारंबार कहा, मेरे गुरुजी उनको जिस प्रकार से एक डॉक्टर किसी मरीज को दवा देता है ठीक करने दवा, वो दवा के रूप में गुरुजी ने आग्रह किया, संन्यास लिया और 2 संन्यास शासन प्रभु थे तो सामने कमर समझ होता है शासन प्रभु, और एक से हमारे ये अवसरण थे, 9 महीना के साथ हुआ था। और सौभाग्य का मुझे साथ हुआ था 1959 में, जब मेरी आयु 19 वर्ष की थी, मैं मोदी का मामा और ये बात ठीक काम आती है। सारे वर्ष का फ्रेंड वगैरह कुछ बार भाजी नहीं बनाए थे उनको। बाद में उन्होंने गई थी बजट में, इनके पास में था उसमें मात्र 40 रुपये बस, और कुछ नहीं। पट्टी का बात रखी थी, मैं यहाँ जाता हूँ धर्म प्रचार करने के लिए, महापुरुष प्रचार करने के लिए, तो एक महिला ने उनको रुपये देकर के वहाँ गया था। इस प्रकार से मैं बहुत कष्ट पाया जीवन में। और इसके अतिरिक्त जब उन्होंने हजारों लोगों को जो क्रिश्चियन थे उनको हिंदू बनाया, उनको भक्त बनाया था, सबसे अच्छा प्रचार उन्होंने जो है वह चीन में किया। हजारों लोगों को, 3,000 लोगों को उन्होंने हिंदू बनाया। इसके अतिरिक्त उन्होंने सबसे पहले 108 मंदिर खोले थे, और वैसे तो हर राज्य में हजारों उन्होंने मंदिर खोले हैं, लेकिन मुख्य रूप से 108 मंदिर खोले। इसके अतिरिक्त जब उन्होंने प्रचार किया तो मेरे पहली बार आए थे, विदेशी लोग आए थे, देखो नारायण महाराज ये सब बांग्ला है, इनको ठीक होने में करीब हजारों को सैकड़ों पर चल जाएंगे, इसलिए इनको इस प्रकार से आज भी स्कॉल में और गवर्नमेंट अंतर है कि वहाँ पर प्रचार तो है किंतु आचरण नहीं है। हमारी गवर्नमेंट में आचरण है और प्रचार दोनों बातें हैं। तो एक बार एक भक्ति ने कहा, एक भक्ति नहीं था, एक व्यक्ति ने कहा महाराज से कि मैं आपको अभी शूट करता हूँ, मुझे इसे 1 लाख रुपये दीजिए, आप मुझे 1 लाख रुपये, 1 लाख। वहाँ का ठीक है, मैं 1 लाख रुपये मैं जरूर दूंगा। तो तुमको 7 दिन बाद यहाँ शाम को आना पड़ेगा 1 घंटे के लिए। तो महाराज जी ने पचा उनको एक्सरसाइज हरे वो व्यक्ति उनका सिर्फ लग गया ना। एक बार मुझे भाई महाराज जी मुझे ऐसे ले गए, हम लोग ऐसे बढ़ते थे, ऐसे मैं आगे बढ़ते हुए पास बढ़ते थे, मजा बहुत क्लोज मन थे। मुझे एक बार ले गए घर महाराज जी थे शिवटोला, दिल्ली में मोहल्ला है, वहाँ एक कमरा था, बहुत छोटा कमरा था। यहाँ से मैं वो आपसी भगवान निकालता हूँ, लेफ्ट गॉड है, तुम यहाँ पर रहो। मैंने कहा मेरे गुरु जी मौजूद है संसार में, मैं बोल रहा कि मैं नहीं रहता। इस प्रकार के संबंध थे। महाराज जी जब चले गए विदेश में, वहाँ से चिट्ठी लिखते थे मदन में किसी का साथ के लिए पेड़ा के लिए, पेड़ा की बहुत शौकीन थे। इस प्रकार से महाराज ने खूब प्रचार किया देश विदेशों में। आज जो है सारा संसार जो है हरि कृष्ण मूवमेंट से जुड़ा हुआ है। तो मैं समय हो सकते हैं नदी वाणी को नहीं दे सकता, बहुत कुछ बोल